Hi guys, something different today. I want to start a little project, and it's only going to be a project of a handful of parts, 2 to 5 part videos on building a small shelf layout. Starting off with this bit of melamine here. So Grafton Heath is getting a little bit of a rest from videos just for the moment, and I really want to see what I can do with this little shelf layout. This is simply a piece of what they call whiteboard, 1200 by 295 by 16 mil. Perfect for a shelf, or the idea being it can be a shelf, it can be a layout in someone's office that they don't have much room in, perhaps a layout in a bedroom where there's not much room, anything along those lines. The other idea that I thought it could be is it could be a fancy form of a test track, or a programming track, perhaps. What I want to do is I want to experiment with this extruded foam, which I've never used before. Obviously the guys in the States use it probably predominantly a lot of the time, and it's fantastic stuff. When I sort of look at their layouts and what you can do, and the scenery you can achieve, and the way you can just sort of pop the trees in and pop fences in, it's fantastic. So I want to give that a go. So I want to use that as base on top of the shelf, and build up some scenery from there. So I'm going to cut some of that up to size and place that on the board. Okay, to start off with, all I've found is the flattest end of the foam, and put the board on top. I might put something over the front of this. This will be the front of the layout. Might put something over the front of that just to cover that at some point, but I'll wait and see how that comes along. Then all I want to do is just want to grab a grey lead pencil, and I want to be measuring up, marking up exactly where I need to cut, and simply by using a nice sharp Stanley knife, I'm going to carefully cut through the foam. Actually, you don't need an overly sharp Stanley knife because it will cut through the foam anyway, but this just saves any messy edges, I suppose. But so I've just got the sharpest one that I have on hand. I'll cut through that, and then I'm ready to glue it on. Okay, so I've cut out my piece of foam, and I've got it on my shelf, my baseboard. Now, bearing in mind what I'm doing, I'm resting this on a table because I don't have legs on this layout, because again, it could be used as anything at the end of the day. A shelf, leaning on a desk. If somebody wants to make legs for it, they can make legs for it. I mean, this is all just about the layout part of it, so not about the actual structure of table legs or anything like that. So I've cut it out. Now, as you can see, when I cut it out, you know, I'm showing you warts and all, I've cut it on a bit of an angle. That's not too bad, because as long as the front's flat, that's all I'm really concerned about, because all of this is going to be up against a wall or whatever, and be covered by, blended in by bush and whatnot anyway, so that it's flat up against a wall. But what I plan to do is cut some more out of this and try and layer it up to create some kind of an embankment as well. So this is where I'm going to go to try and figure out, lay the track first, and try and figure out exactly what the track plan is going to be. Obviously, I've only got 4 foot to work with, so it's going to be an end-to-end. It's going to be maybe using a bit of illusion track going off into nowhere, that sort of thing. It's not a run-around track by any means, of course, as it can't be, but it's going to have some sort of train operation in there with 4 foot to sort of use. So I'll put some track on there and see what it looks like. Okay, guys, so I've just quickly put down a track. Some track. Had no plan in mind, just playing around with the track as I put it down. As you can see, some of the track has been used before. I don't mind that, because I will be, you know, getting the excess ballast off the tracks, and also once I've reballasted the tracks, I'll be spraying them anyway to weather and create a little bit of extra effect. So what I've got here is I've got a buffer stop at this end here. I have got one of the one of the pieces of track here where we've got the connectors for the power. May or may not leave that there. I just found that there, so I thought, well, I'll put that there for the moment. We'll also put another buffer stop up here as well. Next thing I want to do is try and figure out exactly what I'm doing along here. Now, I think what I plan to do is create a curved bank that kind of runs in line with the track up here. But I want to have enough space left in there for, I don't know, possibly a walking track or something. These are the things that will come about as I go along. Also, what I'd like to do is possibly start that banking up here, curving around and then following the track, because I would like to put a little river under those tracks there and going up off into the corner. Now that will be done, I would suggest, before I lay the foam down. So I'll play around with some buildings and things like that, and come back in a moment. Okay, before I cut any more foam, I just wanted to show you what I've done here with a simple grey lead pencil. Just marked out where the river's going to go along here. And that's the beauty of the extruded foam. It's so easy to create different levels, and that's what really appeals to me with this stuff. Watch the guys in the USA with their layouts quite often that use the extruded foam, and it just makes life so much easier with a lot of scenic work. So that's where my little river is going to go, and what I might do as well is I might just cut out a little bit of a plateau along here somewhere just to create some different levels. You'll notice I took out the power piece. Now that is because I realised I've got the points there. I'm going to have to be soldering some dropper wires on anyway. Then the next thing comes up, well, where am I going to put the dropper wires? Because if this is going to be a shelf, it needs to look fairly neat. Interesting. Haven't come up with an idea on that. A couple of little ideas, but nothing sort of solid. So if you've got any suggestions on that, I'd love to hear them in the comments if you wouldn't mind. I've laid a couple of buildings down here. Now, I don't want this layout to be filled with buildings and things like that. You know, this is about the scenery. It's about simple operation. It's about somebody could have this layout and they could use it as a programming track, or to test a train after they've oiled it, or whatever the case may be, if they didn't want to fire up their main track. Or this could be a main track, and that's why I've put the 2 points in, because it's something a little bit interesting. If someone was just to not have enough room for a big layout, I want to try and prove the point that you can have just as much fun and create just as much interest out of a small layout. As you can see, I've got the signal box just sitting there. The plan is I still want to have the banking along here, but I want to have it cut out along here and going back along the riverside. I'm going to try and do that now and see how that comes up. Okay, just to explain what I'm doing here right now, I could use a template. To be perfectly honest, one of the easy ways to do this would be to slide A4 pieces of paper under here, all stuck together with sticky tape on the sides, and to draw a bit of a template as to where you want the bank to go. I'm gonna wing it and see just how good my eye is, and I'm gonna try and cut one out myself and see what it looks like. So I'll do that now and put it in place and see just how far off I am. By the way, please don't do this on your good dining table, because obviously this is an old garden table that I'm doing this on, but I am actually nicking the table to a degree. So yeah, definitely don't do this on any kind of good surface. Otherwise, someone is going to be very upset. All right, should just click out. There we go. That's cut. So I'm going to bring you up here, and I'm going to see if I was accurate at all. So I want to take that off. I haven't done the cutout for that yet. Excuse me. Oh, not too bad. Not too bad. That may almost pass. You see there? So I wanted to have the little river going down there. Now, I also cut it a little bit bigger than the mark, as you can see there. The reason for me doing that was because now I want to go back, and this is where this bit won't matter. I want to go back, I want to go on an angle. and cut it down to angle from the bottom back here, and to cut it down to size to get an embankment type setup happening, which I'll do now and put it back in place. Okay, so after much wailing and gnashing of teeth, after digging the blade into my hand, we got there. As you can see, it makes a bit of a mess. It's not too bad. It's not like polystyrene where it all falls apart in little bubbles, which is great. But I'll tell you what, this stuff is fantastic to work with. If you get a chance to work with it, it's actually really fun to work with. You can see what I've done here. I've chipped away at it, I've cut away at it. It was never meant to be smooth because a rock face or embankment isn't smooth. You've got to imagine that this has been cut out specifically for the railway and worked with its natural form, but also cut out to a degree as well. So that's the initial form there. I haven't sanded it down yet, but that's the beauty of the XPS foam, extruded foam, is that you can sand it down as well. So the idea being, I'm just going to take you down here, my cracky knees. You'll have the embankment there as you look at the trains. That train at the back will kind of go behind this railway workers cottage here. And it's just a little bit of an illusion off the scale. Obviously, this layout, you're not going to be, carting too many coaches or rolling stock or anything like that. I mean, there's obviously just not the space. But for a steam loco chugging along, you might get a sound loco, diesel or steam, chug it along, maybe just have one wagon that you can take to and fro across the points. So this is where we can afford to really go all out on scenery on a layout of this size, because there's not a lot of train to look at, there's not a lot of running to look at, we're not watching a train go around. So we can add that little bit of extra detail into the scenery fairly easily. So that's where you can have some fun with a layout of this size. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut out the section for the signal box and show you how that comes out. So for this, I don't want to disturb the layout too much, so I've taken off the end pieces. And what I will do is I will score first and then cut deeper to cut it out. Alright guys, so here is our module so far. So as you can see, I've cut out the section for the signal box there. I've left this spot here because that's going to have a light and a spot for the car to live for this signal box worker, signalman. And we're imagining that the car disappears off behind the signal box somewhere. We've got to create a bit of illusion here. It's a small layout. We don't have much room. So we've got to create some illusions, as we have done here with the train sort of disappearing back here. Obviously, you can't go anywhere, but it's just to bring it back here. When we have some trees here and everything, and probably a line of trees behind the house, that'll add to the illusion. I've cut out the riverbed here and also blended in the side of the embankment down here. And I'll be making my own bridges, which I'll show you in a later update. But for the moment, that's a fair bit done to get the module started. So hope you've enjoyed this part one of creating a small layout. And yeah, stay tuned for part two coming up hopefully next week. Thanks guys, cheers.